Welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees out of anything are the best to handle a bullet.
I think there is a higher power at play here. Do all that. That's the old trash. Every person who has trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. And once again, it is the Barnes and Tony Show. Renee from the couch, Michael in the vicinity. It's Monday. How are you, sir?
Oh, sir, I'm doing very well today. Pretty crazy weekend in sports. Excited, big Monday here to recap it all today with you on this nice rainy day, Brian. I'm stoked.
There is so much to discuss, Tony.
To unpack.
And it's crazy. Usually, you come in on a Monday, football dominates.
Right.
Not on this show. Let's go to the world of Major League Baseball.
2-2, he got him swinging. The back-to-back strikeouts for Robbie Ray.
There's damage right there. Shohei, way, Cy Young. Nada, where did that land?
Smoke to Chapman, who leaps up and grabs it.
Story spins and fires. Out at first. There it goes. See ya. Home run, Aaron Judge.
All right, Tony. To sum it up, obviously, like you said, it was a crazy weekend, and I think this is a situation where you could go either way. It could be glass half full, glass half empty. Obviously, I expected to be sitting here today discussing, the Yankees and the Astros and the ALCS. But unfortunately, due to some, bugaboos, as we would say, there's still one more game to go tonight.
The bugaboo, Tony.
So, it was an insane weekend. The wave of emotions. Where do you begin? There's just nothing like the feel of your team in the postseason, fighting for their lives and trying to get, where you want them to get. So obviously this series, starts out on Tuesday. They win, all is good. Garrett Cole does the job. Then you have these two wasted days. One was a rain out day, one was a day off when it was a beautiful day. So, obviously we don't get game 2 until Friday. So everybody's well rested after 2 days off. One day, obviously I was there. The building was electric. Obviously just kind of a weird spot. 1:00 on a Friday. But I'd say it was as good as advertised in terms of the pitching matchup here, and it felt like a game where the Yankees they jump out to that 2-0 lead early, the Giancarlo Stanton home run, where you would just kind of build on that for the rest of the game, and unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. So like I said, you had that, home run in the first. Cortez gets into a little bit of trouble in the fourth. Just some bloops and something that you don't see this day and age. The Guardians, it seems like, and I noticed this more so on Saturday, but they were definitely doing this on Friday, where they kind of almost are kind of conceding halfway, where they go into an at-bat, a situation, and they don't take a full swing. They're taking half swings, and they're just trying to poke the ball through a shift, and just collect singles. That's kind of in this game, for at least the first run, in the fourth there to make it 2-1. And in the fifth, Ahmed Rosario, former New York Met, with a home run. And of course, this was after I had to wait in the concession stand for 20 minutes to get a beer. Okay?
Really, dude?
This
Just-
lady, like, you got to retire. I'm sorry. Like, it just, oh, it's a nice little, Saturday afternoon game against the Orioles. No, this is a Friday afternoon postseason baseball game. We can't have someone taking 10 minutes to open up a beer and do a transaction. That was insane. No. So, of course, I missed that. And that was the first thing I was saying to Corey. I went to the game with that. I was like, I can go to the concession stand and risk missing some of the action, but I want it to be when we're hitting, not when we're pitching, because, it could get crazy.
Right.
And I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about that. So, of course, I go up when we're hitting, but it's quick. And then Rosario hits the home run. I come back. We're hitting again. And unfortunately, the rest of the game, we really just don't do much. It was just one of those dull offensive games. We left 11 runners on, 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, struck out 15 times. So that's obviously inexcusable. We get nada out of the bullpen, but they did pitch their best guys, in terms of Stefan, Karinchak, and Emmanuel Clase. So, we're on to extra innings, the Yankees to navigate, after Cortez gives them 5, he labored, but got through it 92 pitches. Could you have left him out there for the 6? Yeah. But I mean, he definitely didn't have his ace stuff. I mean, we could see that, 6 hits over 5 and 3 walks, that's a lot for Nestor. So we combined to use Trevino, Loaizaga, Peralta, Holmes, to get through 4 innings. You get good results there. You don't even allow a hit, but I know there wasn't much to go to, but to start the top half of the 10th inning, we go to Jameson Taillon out of the pen, and keep this in mind, Tony. Is there a better time to make your debut out of the bullpen in game 2 of a playoff series? Like, are you kidding me? In extra innings, we're going to go with the reliever. And I know it was soft contact, misplayed balls in left, as Waldo struggling with the ball a little bit, whatever the case may be. But that was just not the right move. Josh Donaldson makes the error. I would have, honestly, anybody. And I know Clark ended up blowing it Saturday, but he did good this game.
He did.
But even them aside, give me Lucas Licky, Tony.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't put a starter in that situation. He can't grow and adapt in a postseason. You can't learn on the fly in the postseason. That was just a terrible decision by Boone. So, you get that double by Jose Ramirez. Donaldson throws it away to make it a triple. And then, Gonzalez, who, has really come up big this postseason for the Guardians, singles to score Ramirez. Josh Naylor comes up and he doubles to score Gonzalez. They bring in Clark Schmidt. He gets 3 ground outs. So, then we go to the bottom of the 10th. But, we had Tim LeCastro in, who was a defensive replacement. He flies out. Donaldson walks, but then Cabrera and IKF, Cabrera strikes out, IKF grounds out the second. So we lose the game. And that was tough. Really was tough, because I just felt like, our manager there, and I know a lot of the times, we say the manager doesn't do much, but in this situation, I feel like he did. And I just feel like it was complete mismanagement of the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the pitches thrown, Peralta 15 pitches, Loaizaga 15 pitches, Trevino 17 pitches, Holmes 16 pitches. If those guys could have been pushed a little more. And also, it's just, why Taillon? Why? I mean, could you make any sense of it, Tony, for me at all? I mean, is that egregious in your eyes?
Yeah, it's pretty poor. I mean, especially when you said like give him Litke, why are you putting Taillon in there? There's no reason. No reason.
Yeah. So that was just atrocious. So yeah, you just try to rebound, and it was on to Cleveland, and obviously because of these rainouts, no off day, so just right up to Cleveland, and it got started, pretty good on Saturday. Other than the first 2 innings, you'll have a run each, but you know what? Louis settled down. Judge answers back in the top of the 3rd, with a monstrous home run to tie the game at 2. As Waldo Cabrera with the 2-run homer in the 5th to make it 4-2. They get a single from Josh Brennan to make it 4-3. The Guardians answer in the bottom of the 6th inning, off of Severino. And then Harrison Bader hits another home run, his second. He would hit another one yesterday. So really, just paying huge dividends, in a trade that was much maligned. So that was nice. So after Severino, after he labors, he gets through 5 2/3. Trevino comes in after that single to let the run. He gets an out. And then so you take him out after 7 pitches, Tony. So here we go with the mismanagement of the bullpen. Then we go Loaizaga for only 15 pitches. And then Peralta to come out for the 8th, does his job, and then bring him back out for the 9th inning. And it's just like, if we use Trevino, 7 pitches, like he could have went another 15 pitches. So you think about that. You think about Loaizaga could have won another 7 or 8. So really, Peralta should have only had to go 1 inning, but they bring him in for 2, Tony. And I just feel like that was just the wrong move. And then once again, we talk about the mismanagement. Besides overextending him, once he gets into trouble in the bottom of the 9th, and this starts with a flyout, but then he gives up a double to Miles Straw. And then a single to Quan. So, you got 2nd and 3rd, first and third, and then they bring him in. And it's just like, what are we doing? Right. And then after the game, Boone says that it was only for an emergency situation, but you're another guy that's not fully comfortable being reliever. I know he's pitched more relief than Tyone, obviously. We're going to bring him in, do or die situation, runners on. So he lets up a single to make it 5-4. Then there's an infield single to short because they can't make the throw. Of course, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa at the at the center of that. Josh Naylor strikes out. So it's 2 outs. You have 2 strikes on Oscar Gonzalez, and this is where I mentioned the whole just poking the ball. And he throws him a slider that catches too much of the plate, and he just hits it right back up the middle, scores the 2 runs, game over. And it's like me and Matt were watching it together, and it's just like one of those things where you're just speechless. You don't know what to say. And it was like, I would say, even though it didn't end the series, obviously, it was the equivalent of Altuve, of Bregman. That's the way it felt. And it really destroyed me to the point where going into yesterday, I really just didn't have a good feeling, because I just feel like, this is sports. This is professional sports. This is Major League Baseball. This is the playoffs. And you have a situation, you're going to the bottom half of an inning to close out a game, to go up 2-1. You're up 2 runs, and then you just blow it. Like, it's like, these are professionals. Like, you can't give guys second chances. And I just felt like that was absolutely horrendous. And, at the end of the day, sure, Schmidt and Peralta, didn't execute. But, is it fair to say, Tony, that managerial decisions from game 2 and 3 cost the Yankees more than anything with the mismanagement of the bullpen? I know there's no off days.
Right.
You're down guys, but you can't tell me this is a sound strategy. And he's saying he's saving Clay Holmes for an emergency. This is an emergency. Like, what do you mean? There's runners. You need 1 out. You can't trot him out of the bullpen for 1 out. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, and I don't know. How did you feel about the whole post-game conference where, Boone is like, oh, like, we had decided, like, he wasn't ready, so if we need to go to him, we don't go to him. And then Clay Holmes is like, yeah, I walked in there ready to pitch.
He said that. Severino said that, and I think someone else might have said it as well. But to me, that showed that the guys aren't fully behind Boone, and they question him, and I call it too cute, but that's kind of what it is here. So, that was just horrendous feeling. And then, it's just like, that's why I just like, like yesterday the champagne should have popped, and it just
Right.
it really just it was, I always talk about this, but it was like that knife in your stomach and then just a full turn. Like that's literally what it felt like. It left me feeling, completely hopeless, even though I knew, we got Garrett Cole going yesterday. So, I felt pretty good about that. I knew we had the advantage in the pitching matchup, and thank God, he did answer the bell. And he just gave us everything he had. Going 7 innings, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts, throwing 110 pitches. So you think about his 2 starts this postseason, 2.03 ERA. So he did his job, and then we went to Holmes and Peralta, who made minced meat of the Guardians. Not really running into too much trouble other than a walk from Holmes in the 8th. Offensively. So Glaber was batting leadoff, and it was funny. Everybody thought which I don't know if you saw this, but how going into Saturday's game, Boone switched the lineup, took Judge out of the leadoff hole, put him in batting second. And I guess A-Rod was kind of like ripping him on the post game, even though they're not even covering the American League. They're covering the National League on Fox. And everyone's like, oh, Boone, listen to A-Rod. So that's why Glaber was leading off. But
A-Rod was saying, why is Judge in?
That's silly.
Yeah,
he's
like, why is he leading off?
He's not a leadoff hitter. Like, I don't get it. And, A-Rod doesn't make a lot of sense. Might have a point.
Wrong.
Might have a point there. So anyway, Glaber, sets the tone, gets a single. Anthony Rizzo comes up, actually scores him on a blooper. Glaber kind of half running. There's a play at the plate. And I don't know if you saw this play, Tony. But first of all, the ball hit the mound right before. If it didn't hit the mound and it came in accurately, absolute toast. I mean, it was close as it was. And I just don't feel like he was hustling. But, I mean, obviously he got the hit. He made sure he scored. It was tough to see Rizzo get picked off, the next at bat, with Stanton up. But, I mean, did you see that play fully? Like, did it seem like he was kind of dogging it?
Yeah, he was absolutely dogging it, dude.
So I didn't like to see that. I know he's been good. I mean, you look at his career, he's an over 300 hitter in the postseason. So he obviously steps up, but it's like the little things, like fielding is great, but let's see you hustle, man.
Yeah,
so,
that's bogus. Dude.
Luckily that worked out for them. And then Harrison Bader, Tony, his 3rd home run in 4 games yesterday in the 2nd inning, a no doubter to left center. I mean, is this man not made to be a Yankee and hit home runs in the postseason? I mean, he's so locked in. The Bronxville native, that was huge. So that made it 3-0 Yankees. Cole, after a real just kind of like one of those situations where, they don't field it in the left there with Hicks, who wasn't, it was Donaldson coming out, Hicks coming in, and here we go with the hustle.
Yeah.
Hicks isn't running 100%. So it's like, first of all, he shouldn't even be out there. But then, like, you're not even going to run. I thought that was crazy. So that led to a run on that blooper, but Cole worked out of it. But he does give up a home run, a solo shot to right center to Josh Naylor in the 4th inning, bottom of the 4th. And did you see Naylor, quote unquote, rock the baby after he?
Oh yeah.
Is that not a joke?
I don't. They were trying to like get because they had like Shahadi report on it because they're like, what is that about? It has something to do with his kid. He has a kid coming or something, right?
Yeah, but.
Well, like what like why is I know regardless I'm saying like why that is kind of bullshit like
I think he's trying to show up Gary Cole.
Yeah, he was staring at Cole, I believe too. Like he was looking at him like rocking the baby in the cradle. I don't know if he has any personal vendettas. Have they seen each other like before when Cole was on the Astros or something? Or
I don't think so.
Right?
I don't maybe just from obviously game 1 Cole pitched here. So I just thought that was insane.
Prefer says you're my daddy.
And then really the only other scoring we had in this game, they reviewed it, and Naylor of all people, so he's not clearly 100% focused here. Judge hits one up the middle. Rosario makes a nice play, but Naylor's foot comes off the bag. It took Costas 10 minutes to realize that it wasn't that the ball didn't beat him, but his foot wasn't on the bag. And let's just take a pause there. I mean, Bob Costas literally is the worst play-by-play announcer I've seen in my almost 30 years of watching Major League Baseball. It is absolutely atrocious. I played you the Mike Francesa bite from his podcast. I mean, he hit everything on the head. It's just a complete history lesson with Costas every time. And then, reiterating the same points, like we don't know that the Yankees hit more than twice the amount of home runs that the Guardians did. And he's the biggest phony. He's the biggest phony out there because Matt knows it. Me and him in college used to crack up listening to the videos of Costas, on the NFL coverage ripping the NFL. And that's why the NBC took him off the Olympics, took him off their NFL coverage, because he would shit on it about the injuries and everything. And be like, growing up, baseball was my favorite sport. Mickey Mantle. My dad took me to the stadium to see Mickey Mantle. Oh, really? Mickey Mantle was your favorite? Why are you acting like you're a Cleveland Guardian cheerleader this whole time? Literally everything negative about the Yankees and everything positive about the Guardians. He's from New York, and it's a complete embarrassment. And he thinks just because, I'm a famous journalist, I've been around forever, I can say whatever the hell I want. And we were talking about this before. I mean, poor Ron Darling. I mean, listen, out of all the Mets broadcasters, I thought Darling has been the best. And I was saying, maybe he'll go national. Now with Bob Costas next to him, he won't let him talk for 2 seconds. I mean, it's complete embarrassment. And I was telling you this before. I think this might ruin Costas' career. I mean, there's not one person out there that thinks he's doing a good job. I literally last night, no joke, it's a 20-0 football game on Sunday Night Football last night. Literally had the game on mute, like the baseball game, to listen to the football broadcast. I would rather listen to Chris Collinsworth than Bob Costas. I mean, and it's just like, I'm not one of those people that gets on broadcasters. I know everybody gives it their best shot. I don't blame them for things or think that they're not impartial. This was a joke. I mean, I really think this is going to be Bob Costas' last assignment. I mean, maybe MLB Network will still want him to do his stupid interview shows or, have an interview series on Apple Plus with his leg crossed over his knee, saying Peyton Manning. Maybe he'll do that, Tony. But he is not doing any more play-by-play baseball. I mean, absolutely not. And it just, you focus on football broadcasts more. You focus even on NBA broadcasts more. But this is something that's not slipping through the cracks. And I know TBS feels embarrassed, and thank God for them. I mean, there's only one series that they have left. They'll go with Brian Anderson, who does a pretty good job. He does the NBA coverage as well. But Bob Costas, it's time to go. I mean, I used to think it was hilarious. Like when they first started, when they said, Costas will be on this. That's funny. But let me tell you, it's not funny now. When you're coming to a crucial point and then I have to hear his nonsense. I mean, I've never, like I said, I've been watching baseball for 30 years. I've never had to mute the announcer. I always thought it was ridiculous when people give him hard times. Had to mute him. No choice. I mean, a complete joke. And they won't do it, but TBS should take him off the coverage tonight. Literally take him out right now. Like we don't have another second. Do you agree?
Yes, Brian, I do agree in the sense that Costas is just, he's the worst, honestly. I think he really is. Like, he's just so full of himself. And I mentioned it before in the show. I thought the time where he started to really decline for me was when he asked to get a second first pitch at whatever baseball game he opened up with first pitch. It might have been a Yankee game. Yeah. I don't remember. But he threw his first ball, absolutely botches it, and is like refusing to like move. And he's like, "Give me another shot." And like, no. Yeah, he gets it. I mean, he throws on the ball. It's decent, but I mean, like, no, like that's it's first pitch. That's it. Dude. It's not about you.
He was shut down. He was silenced because he was the big, like, I'm hosting the Olympics. I'm the host of Sunday Night Football, which is the #1 show on Sunday for 10, 15 years, whatever it is. And they just ripped him right off. We don't care if you're an established journalist and you've won all these awards and this and that. They took him right off because you know what? He thought he was bigger than the broadcast. Here he is. NBC's paying all this money to the NFL to get their broadcasts. And then he's ripping the NFL. It's just like, who do you think you are? Like, are you going to make a run for president, Bob? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And like, I don't know if you caught any of the games over the weekend or not, but did you see the body language on Ron Darling? I mean, he looks so uncomfortable. And I feel like he's one of the more chill broadcasters around.
Oh, yeah. They got a good team over at SNY, dude.
You know, I mean, in all seriousness, Gary Cohen better than Costas. Not kidding. I mean, I cannot believe it. I really can't. And I encourage everybody, you follow that Funhouse account on Twitter, and their main things are to make fun of Francesa and Colin Cowherd, but they have the bite that I played for you, Tony, before, Francesa on Bob Costas, and prefer, if you haven't heard it already, go listen to it right now. You will be cracking up. It was absolutely ridiculous, but I just had to get that in there. I know that was kind of a long tangent as we were in the middle of summarizing last night's game.
Totally fine. But speaking of tangents and stuff, we have a few comments to get to here. Buffer says Bob Costas' commentary was fine. Costas is doing a good job. The worst is Michael K.
No, nope, not at all. Nope, not even going to consider it for a second.
Okay. And Buffer showing some support here, so don't worry, Barnes. Yankees got this tonight. I wish you luck, he says.
Thank you for that.
He says the Yankees legacy, Billy Martin, George Steinbrenner, Bambino, Maris, DiMaggio, Ghost will lift the Yankees tonight. And he says, thank God Yankees are playing 18-inning game on Saturday. I'm sure we'll talk about the Seattle
Houston
Mariners and their unfortunate loss. And he also says, you're lucky to be playing. Imagine being a Dodgers or Braves
or
fan.
a Mets fan.
Yeah, but even so, Dodgers or Braves were probably a little bit more like they're going to probably.
Whoa, and it's just Dodgers. I mean, that is the most embarrassing postseason performance we've ever seen.
Yeah, it was pretty poor from them. He says he also did not like Cabrera showboating. I didn't see him showboating.
Yeah, after he hit the 2-run homer, he kind of pimped it. But listen, it's the postseason. He wasn't rocking a baby like Josh Naylor. So
that's true.
I think that was okay. But what I was really going to say in conclusion with this is, it was nice to see Holmes. So apparently, he's had a PRP injection in the shoulder. That's why he wasn't used on Saturday. Looked good. I mean, I know he got a generous third strike call on Ahmad Rosario on that pitch that was low, but the sinker had bite. And I think we're going to need him in some capacity today. I mean, really, you would think we need an inning out of Clay Holmes. And it's just crazy. I mean, this will be Wandy's fourth game in a row if he pitches today, but you would think all hands on deck. And it is going to be Tyone, versus Aaron Savali. So you feel like, we have the advantage there. There has been some chatter, are these guys just openers? Are they planning on 2 innings apiece for them? And I would say, especially on the Yankee side of things, I think that the plan is just to kind of take it as it comes. And if Tyone is mowing him down, they'll keep him out there. But the first sign of trouble, they'll lift him right away. And I guess it depends on the situation. But if he's really like in a tough spot early, maybe they go to a Loaizaga, or a Trevino. But if it's like he doesn't give up any runs, gives a bunch of hits, and goes like 2 innings, maybe we go Herman for the 3rd inning. So it's just going to be very interesting to see how Boone plays this. And this is like, I think Boone is managing for his job in this game. If there's another snafu, I mean, this could be it. I mean, because
do you think he's back next year if he does do well, or you think he's gone regardless now what happens next?
No, I mean, it depends what happens next. But if that comes back to bite, Tony, as we would say, then I think it's sayonara. I really do. I don't think there's any loser,
but we know that
there's any margin for error. And so, I mean, it's a very precarious situation. We find that ourselves in, like I said, Saturday really, really took a toll on me. I was so disgusted. I like I said before, I mean, I felt hopeless. Luckily for me, I had a tea time early yesterday morning. And Tony, I have to say, listen, at the end of the day, final score, okay, 96, not good, but like whatever. It's under
96
100.
is still good. I mean,
but Tony, I swear to God, I closed like I was Mariano Rivera. Like, let me just lay this out for you, okay? So I get off. First hole, I think I bogey. The second hole, I par, Tony, okay? And then it's like I get the Chuck Knobloch yips, like a couple chunks with the chips, a couple chunks with the putts. Next thing we know, 3 sevens in a row. So that completely sets me back. And I'm doing a match with my friend Riley.
Kiss of death, Tony.
He's a lot better than me, so he gives me a decent amount of strokes. Whatever. So I completely blow up, but then I close. No, wait, what? Go ahead. What? Go ahead, Tony.
He gives you what?
Decent amount of strokes. Like, what? I mean, come on. You're reaching for it. All right, Bob. Anyway, so after getting through that, I kind of turn it around. We head to the, make a nice, I think a par putt on 9. We head to the 10th hole, and the way it works is he literally breaks 80 a lot. So for the whole match, he was giving me 16. Like before, he's giving me up to 20. Like he's that good.
Mm-hmm.
And so the number 10, we both miss a putt, double bogey it. So we tie, no blood, no foul. So we're on 11. And this is like, I could not believe this happened. So I tee off. He has a great shot, of course, like always. He never messes up. I hit a shot, just sneak it over the tree line there. And then my shot afterwards, I'm in the rough. I don't get any traction. So I have to lay up, basically. And then my third shot, I'm going for the green and just stub my toe completely into what normally would be a body of water, but it's like in a valley and it's right before the green, like kind of like a little river, I guess you could say, but very small, like a creek.
Really?
Creek, but like lower. So there's walls on both sides. And all I had to do was just, all right, I'm going to take a drop. I'll take the stroke penalty. Then I can have a nice clean chip up to the green. But I decided to hit it and I basically miss. And then he's all like, can't give you a break. So he says that counts as a stroke. So then the next shot, I chip it over the green and then 3-putt to get a 9, Tony. So he pars it. So he picks up 5 strokes. So I only have 3 strokes, okay, to play with for the remaining 7 holes. And keep in mind, like I said, he's 15 shots better than me normally, okay?
Right.
So I have three, just for a push, I have 3 strokes to work with. Up until the 18th hole, I go shot for shot with him. Literally get the same score on every hole, make all my putts, execute all my chips. So we head to the 18th hole, and it's the same thing because we've tied on every hole. So 3 shots to work with. He's talking to me, trying to get me nervous, this. I tee off my usual slice, but it goes to the right a little bit, but underneath the tree. So I have to punch out. So just safe shot to the fairway. He gets a nice shot and actually tries to go for the green in 2. Ooh. I'm going for the green in 3. And, like I said, I had executed every shot and I hit my 9-iron and just completely line it. But thank God there was a bunker, maybe 20 yards ahead of me. And I just happened to line it right over that bunker, but then into the greenside bunker right below the 18th hole, Tony. And this is, keep in mind too, I didn't even tell you about this. We played last week and it took me 4 shots to get out of a bunker. Just kept going. So here I am. He's on the green in 3. I'm hitting my 4th shot out of the bunker. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't do this again. And then somehow, like I was Tiger within 10 feet out of the bunker. Perfect shot. Putt it, just missed the putt. Tap in for bogey. He pars. I win by 2. And I say, let's go! Right in his face. Said it. No, I'm just kidding. I just made that up, but I was pumped.
My God.
Is that not ridiculous, though?
That is a story for the ages, honestly.
Because me under pressure, golf, I mean, it's so hard.
I think we have to make a documentary about this. And
not to create
and have
Tony.
a reenactment and everything.
And I just, it was, like I said, it was a 96. It wasn't that great. But just the fact that I didn't just wilt. And I say that to say this, Tony, that's the type of effort we need out of the New York Yankees tonight. Okay. So if there's adversity early, champions get through adversity. And that's what we need tonight. So, that felt great. But still, after that, I go home and we'll talk about the games in a second, but it was the first NFL Sunday that I really couldn't even enjoy. And since I remember starting to watch football, because all I was thinking about was Costas, his stupid face, Aaron Boone. Luckily the Yankees rallied, but I really thought that was the kiss of death. And here we are. It's a winner
Kiss
go home
of death, Tony.
Game 5, and it all comes down to a guy we've joked about in the past, Jameson Taillon tonight. So I'm gonna say my prayers, hope for the best, and it's just like championship teams. Special things happen, and I'm hoping that this is the team. This is what it takes, and we're gonna find a way. And then I know the rotation won't be lined up against Houston. Doesn't even matter. Nestor can go game 1, but let's worry about tonight. Let's try to get what we can at Taillon. And please, dear God, Aaron Boone, do not fuck this up, or you will never walk back into Yankee Stadium again. You'll be banned for life. So just remember that.
Are you watching on mute tonight?
Yes. I thought he was full of shit. Tony, I swear to God, I've never watched a game on mute, ever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ever.
I don't do that.
Neither do I. But it was that bad. I mean, I don't know. But a little bit of an oddball. But anyway, enough of that. So we got that game tonight.
Couple of comments here from Preferred, by the way. He says 96 is awesome. I can't sniff that. 80 is amazing, superb. He goes, he caps his strokes off at 6. Do you believe in that,
Tony?
So if you're on 15, you're just
I just told you I got a 9.
I know. I'm just saying. Will you cap it off if you're at 11 and you're like, you know what?
No. First of all, and then second of all, I just told you how Riley there. I mean, I don't even hit the ball and it's a stroke. So clearly he's not letting that go.
You should have Draymond Greened your friend for talking to you while golfing. It sounds like you were close to it, dude.
No. I definitely listen. He chiefs it sometimes, all of that. But at the end of the day,
what about you, Brian?
No, I don't. I want what's fair. I want what's just. And honestly, I will give credit where credit is due, Tony. And it's I think he's in the long run, he's made me a better golfer, because I used to be, have a breakfast ball and this and that. And it's just you know what? How do you get better? You execute shots. You practice shots, and by not counting things, not finishing out holes, you're not helping yourself. So I have to give him credit for that. He's made me do that. So we got to give him credit there. So before we get to the matchup tonight, quick pick. Last game of the division series, championship series for the National League starting tomorrow, right?
Correct.
So I mean, what are your thoughts here? I mean, we saw the Dodgers wilt. 111 wins, nada. 1 win in the postseason.
Right.
We saw the Phillies make mince meat of the Braves, so they wilted as well. I mean, what are your thoughts here? I mean, we saw Houston take advantage of Seattle there, the inexperience, the comeback, Seattle blowing it. I mean, where are you with this?
Wow. I mean, it's obviously something that we've never really kind of, I guess, thought would be happening, right? So if I had to guess on you're asking me who's going to win this championship series for the NL, I would say the Padres, just because of their pitching. I mean, it's unbelievable how between Darvish and Snell and Musgrove. I know Clevinger hasn't really been doing well, but imagine if Clevinger does.
Right, he's your fourth starter.
Yeah, holy shit, dude, and I feel also all these guys too, have experience coming out of the bullpen if needed to in big spots. They're versatile veteran pitchers here, that are going to be hard to kind of tip over. So I would say just by that advantage alone, that the Padres would take this.
Yeah, and is it just me? And I don't even know what his numbers are, but Manny Machado just seems like someone who's can hit a big home run at any moment. And it just feels like he's going to step up in this series.
I think his production has been decent. He's had a great year, actually. And then Soto's hot now. You have Josh Bell. I mean, their lineup is hard to get through.
Right.
I understand you have Wheeler, you have Aaron Nola. I just feel like you said, at any point these guys could just pop off.
And this is the first NLCS matchup with teams that failed to win 90 games.
That's crazy.
Think about since this format started, pretty crazy. And then tough for Seattle, man.
Oh, I know.
How about Robbie Ray?
Mm.
I mean, what are we doing?
I mean, do you think he's going to be back next year?
How can he be?
Right?
I don't know how he could walk on the streets of Seattle.
There's no way.
You feel terrible for Julio Rodriguez and the fellas. And, and I know it's like, they went to the postseason for the first time in 21 years, but after that, the stunts with Robbie Ray, I mean, is it hard to say that Scott Service is a lock to come back?
No, he's not a lock to come back.
Maybe Joe Girardi heads to the Pacific Northwest.
You're really itching for Girardi.
Girardi, Randolph,
or Joe Torre. Yeah, or Torre. Torre, commissioner of the league. Yeah.
Coaching the Phillies. Yeah. If you had to say though,
more likely to get a managing position.
Who would be better for the Mariners? Not Torre. I know he's not managing, but Randolph or Girardi.
Oh my goodness! I guess Girardi.
Right, won the World Series.
Yeah. Mike Schilt.
Bob Melvin,
dude. Hey, he's a good manager. Look at him. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that side should be interesting. But obviously, I mean, we know it's rained earlier. The rain has subsided for now. It's supposed to rain more later. But I would anticipate whether it's a delayed start or not. So
right.
Costas might need to go run off for some coffee and donuts for the production team over there at Yankee Stadium. But I would imagine, and first says Mattingly, that if the Yankees are going to stick with Boone, Mattingly to Seattle might make sense.
He says he wants Mattingly for the Yankees.
No, I mean, I would want Mattingly for the Yankees, but I just have a feeling. Well, let's take one thing at a time. I'm not going to think about the manager right now. But anyway, Tony, so, let's assume, we'll get a game tonight. And I would just really appreciate this because I get it and prefer does the same thing here. But just if you could just be real and authentic with me for a second here. Tonight's game, I'll update you on the points in a second, but I just want to talk about this first. Savali, Tyone, win or go home. Like, what pops into your head?
I understand you're asking me to be real, but I'm just saying Saturday's game, like I predicted Tyone blowing it. I said it would be a low scoring.
Tyone blew it on Friday.
Wait. Or Friday's game, rather. Friday's game. No, Friday's game, whatever, dude. No,
you're deflecting.
No, I'm not deflecting. I'm just saying, was I not correct? I mean, they lost 4-2, so they would lose 2-1.
Well, that's not correct.
Close.
Is that correct, Michael? Is that the right thing?
What did you say, Brian? What did you say? You're going to win 9-1. Sweep. It's a sweep.
All right, but the other games don't matter. It's about this game.
I'm just saying, you're saying act authentic. I will is my prediction. Well, Before said he's rooting for the Yankees for you tonight, right? Although he does say now that he's rooting for the Yankees to lose in a 22-inning game.
But we're not talking about Prefer, Tony. I just want your honest, not to just get a bite, okay? I just want to hear what your thoughts are about this game.
Honestly, I think that tonight's going to come down to a offensive shootout, to be honest. I think the Guardians, Aaron Savale,
5.79.
Yeah, something like that. Something high up.
Tyone won 14 games.
I'm aware of that, but I still think Tyone's going to get in trouble early. So I think Savale will too.
Right.
I think both teams have to go to their bullpen early. I just have a feeling it's going to be a hitter's game tonight. That being said, though, I do feel that the Yankees do have better hitters when it comes down to it. I know, they did lose the high-scoring game on, was it Saturday when it was 6-5 or 6-5, right? I think tonight's gonna be a little different. I want to say that, it certainly, the scoring is, like I said, it's early. It's gonna be often. It's gonna be through the 8th inning, possibly into the 9th too here for Cleveland to make it interesting. But I think all in all, Yankees bottom of the 9th.
Walk off. Oh no, sorry, because Clay Holmes would be in the top.
Clay Holmes is in the top of the 9th, right?
Yeah.
Gets into a little bit of trouble, but limits the damage. Bottom of the 9th, Bader, walk off dinger,
and the Yankees are going
Championship
to Houston.
series. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, do you think Costas will use the pandemonium phrase again?
Oh my
that he used
God.
on
I bet
Saturday?
yeah, absolutely. It's a pandemonium.
And not what we want, not what America wants, Tony, but is this Bob Costas' last play-by-play assignment in your eyes?
I don't know, dude.
The network. Are they? Was he working there when you were there?
MLB Network?
Yeah.
He
Costas.
was like a special assignment.
Studio
guy.
42.
Yeah, no.
The interview series with Bob Costas.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
so bad, dude. And it's like, I don't know. I'm curious, honestly, to see how like what does like MLB think of him? Like what does TBS or TNT think of him? Like what do they really think like? Do you think he's bad? Like, do you think they're really gonna not?
I really think there's always a reaction. I mean, you think about ESPN with Booger McFarland.
Right.
They roasted. And then last year, even with Greasy, with Riddick, with Levy. And then next thing you know, they're paying Troy Aikman $20 million a year to call 17 football games. I mean, clearly these networks care about what the outside people are saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, they, even though I don't even think this was a great team, and now he's in the studio, and obviously we know the work he does on Inside the NBA, but I would rather have Ernie Johnson and Cal Ripken. And that was the that was the announcers 10 years ago. Me and Matt, junior year of Ernie, junior year of at Eastern, we're watching CC Sabathia pitch a complete game 5. So ironically enough, of the division series. And they were on the call. And I remember, too, I was like kind of tight at Girardi. Like, why aren't you going to Rivera? Why are you leaving Sabathia in? You would never see something like that these days. But he did pitch a complete game. But so anyway, I do like that prediction. And for the love of God, I do think they're going to win, obviously, because I mean, what else am I going to say? But I think this is what happens. So I think Tyone finds a way to give them 5 innings, 2 runs. And he might even let up a run early. But then 3rd inning, Aaron Judge, grand slam, 4-1 Yankees. Tyone in the 5th maybe lets up a solo shot to Oscar Gonzalez. So, that would make it 4-2. Stanton tacks on a solo shot in the 7th, 5-2. Clay Holmes, immaculate 9th inning. Bob Costas says, And the Yankees have come back from the jaws of defeat as they head to Houston. And that's how the night will end.
But you won't know what he says because it'll be on mute, dude.
Yeah, but it'll be on Funhouse the next day, or Francesco will tell me on his podcast.
Oh my gosh, dude. But for a couple questions here, a couple statements as well. It says law of averages, Cleveland, winner. Steak dinner.
No, but you're phony because you already said the Yankees are going to win. So that what you're saying has been discredited.
Then he says, he asks if the lack of postseason productivity hurts Judge in his free agency.
No.
Stanton might be a lesson not to sign Judge long-term contract.
It's completely different. Doesn't matter.
How is Stanton doing?
What do you mean? Like this series?
This postseason, I feel
he
like
has a homer. I mean, his career
subpar for you in your eyes.
No. He's locked in. He's ready.
Locked in, ready.
And I think he's gonna home run tonight.
Matt Carpenter sightings.
1 at bat, struck out. That was on Friday actually when I was there.
Tonight, get some more looks.
Yeah, but doesn't matter. Because,
okay.
So let's get it. Finish on this puppy. Let's get it done. Let's go now, though. Quickly. World National Football League.
6 for 101, 2 touchdowns. To Evans! Touchdown, Tampa Bay!
How about that throw?
Sam Darnold blasted! Oh my goodness, did he take a hit?
In trouble once! Brings him down! Lost one from Odell Beckham Jr. Got it down! Touchdown!
Hey, all right, Tony. So yesterday, I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe that we sit here 6 weeks in. The Jets, Tony, 4-2, comeback victories. Zach Wilson, 3-0 as a starter, defeating Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau by 2 scores. by 2 scores. I
Michael?
mean, and it's unbelievable. After the receipts comment, you think about that. Since that, undefeated receipts.
And you were making fun of him. Crazy.
Obviously defense.
What do we have
leads
before
the way.
that? You know, we're winners now. Barnes, get
But-
used to it. Sauce.
So, oh yeah,
Quinnan.
sauce with the cheese head walking off the field, unbelievable. The most swag.
Yeah, Jet has
That a
had
New York Jet
since
player-
Darrell Rivas.
No, ever.
Did he intentionally go into the wrong locker room, down the wrong tunnel?
No, Alan Lazard just went and snagged it off of him because he was tight. But it wasn't like
Yeah, but I
they were
thought
gonna
Sauce
fight.
walked down like the
No,
Packers tunnel.
No, he just was tight.
Oh.
But like the
You know-
finish on this puppy, Breece Hall, maybe offensive rookie of the year.
Dude, how many times this year would we called Bryce by mistake?
How many times?
It was all fucking day with what's his face. Who the hell were the commentators for that game, for the Jets game?
Iron Eagle? No, it was on Fox.
It was
Wasn't
on Fox, yeah. But no,
No,
CBS.
no, Fox. It was on
I
Fox.
thought the Giants were on Fox.
And the Giants were on CBS.
Shit. Doesn't matter. They kept calling him Bryce. Okay. It was really annoying. Jay was getting pissed off.
But one thing here, defense great, running game great.
Running game was
coaching great.
Mm.
But next game, I'm trying to think who they're even playing next game. I want to see the aerial attack though. That's the one missing piece to this equation. Zach Wilson, Tony, I mean, you said it. You said it yourself that you wanted to see that big game. We haven't seen it yet. I mean, obviously, being the quarterback, being a leader, you're obviously always playing, a part in a win. But that's just the one thing I want to see. But I mean, nevertheless, I mean, you have to feel great. But that's the one thing I want to see. And I'm just curious, Michael, are we seeing it next game? Because you have to admit that's the missing piece. And playing at Denver, Mile High, can Zach outduel Russ in the Battle of the Wilsons?
Yes, dude. He's the best quarterback the Jets have ever had already. You could just see it. He's oozing with talent. He's just going to be better and better, man. And it's going to be better and better each game. And he's not, this is nothing like Sanchez, just so you know. I know you have PTSD, Barnes, from that specific team, but this is not that team, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
they're all young. They're going to be together for freaking 8 years, bro.
No, that's why it's great. You think about the offensive line. How about Dwayne Brown, the almost 40-year-old tackle off the street, playing through a pec injury, laying down blocks, crushing skulls. You look at it as a team, and I know it just seems like this day in the NFL, you can't just run the ball. But if you're running the ball 33 times for 179 yards, 5.4 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, you had 3 runs over 20 yards by 3 different players, including an end around by Braxton Berrios for a touchdown. I mean, good defense, outstanding running game, versatile players. You sacked Rodgers 4 times. I mean, I don't even think I expected in my lifetime, after what we've had to deal with, would have expected the Jets to beat Aaron Rodgers at home. I think he had won 16 straight at home or something like that against non-conference opponents, something like that.
That's what you get when you face the Jets, Barnes.
He's got a stupid haircut.
So that was unbelievable. We'll see what the Jets can do next week. In Denver. The Giants, Tony, 5-1, better record than the Cowboys, 1 game behind the Eagles. Similar circumstances, I would say.
You want to see the aerial attack?
Yes, but I mean the defense stepping up, the professionalism, a head coach, coming off a couple clowns for the Giants with Brian Dable, Wink Martindale, Tony. I mean, talked about it all last week.
Right.
The revenge spot, shuts out Lamar there late, getting that interception, despite allowing 200 yards on the ground. But Danny Dimes, I mean,
You got to give him some
2
credit
passing
here.
touchdowns.
Yeah, no interceptions.
Doesn't turn it over.
Right.
Saquon, has been healthy, been carrying the load. So I just think all in all, it's you got to be excited if you're the Giants. I mean, obviously, up until this point, this game, obviously, Lamar, former league MVP, you hadn't played, Peyton Manning every game. But now, you go to Jacksonville next week, then you go to Seattle, then you play the Texans and the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So you win a couple more of these games.
Yeah.
I mean, as crazy as it sounds, as idiotic as it sounded before the season, the New York Giants have a shot to make the playoffs, which is just absolutely insane.
It is insane. But you know what? I mean, hey, nothing's set in stone here. I mean, Jacksonville, Seattle could cause you some trouble.
Yeah. So just kind of, rounding out the day yesterday. How about the Falcons? You've always been a big Mariota guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, defeating the Niners after the Niners had some dominating performances, especially on defense, allowing 2 touchdowns to the Falcons in the first quarter, getting outscored 14-0, and then not looking back from that point. So both teams sit at 3-3 here, but I mean, what a job by Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
He's always been creative on the offensive end, obviously coming, over from Tennessee. Mariota, he only threw for 129 yards, but he threw for 2 touchdowns. He averaged 9.2 yards at completion, and they ran the ball effectively. And this is without Cordell Patterson.
And he Mariota ran effectively too.
50 yards on the ground, including a touchdown, 20-yard run. You picked off Jimmy G twice as well. Jimmy G, man. So, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due, and Atlanta and that coaching staff deserves it.
Right.
The Niners, I mean, we've seen them have uneven starts before, but it seems like with Jimmy G, man, that they'll be all right. They'll be competitive. Obviously we'll see. And then really what was the surprise of the day for me, how about the Patriots? As much as I hate it, 38-15 over Cleveland. Bailey Zappi possibly putting some pressure on Mac Jones. 309 yards, 2 scores. They pick off Brissett twice, sack him 4 times. Ramondre Stevenson, 2 rushing touchdowns. Bill Belichick tying George Halas, I think for second all time coaching wins. So here we are. I mean, it seemed like the Patriots dead in the water. Now they're 3-3, but hey, still not better than the Jets, baby. So at least we still have that.
Okay.
We saw the Colts on the verge of a disaster against Jacksonville. Yet another slow start. Seems like every game they haven't scored in the first quarter. I don't think they have. But Matt Ryan rallies the troops late. 3 touchdown passes to 3 different receivers. 1 to Campbell, 1 to Pierce to seal it at the end, and 1 to Jelani Woods. Michael Pittman, a guy that I've highly touted, 13 receptions, 134 yards. They sacked Trevor Lawrence 4 times and didn't even do much on the ground, only 45 yards rushing. But yet Matt Ryan, we thought maybe is he cooked? I mean, he's had some impressive games here back-to-back. So Indy, 3-2-1, right in the thick of things. So
that tie, baby.
They stay alive. The tie, as we saw with last pick segment, always comes back to bite. We saw Minnesota, Tony. How about Minnesota under Kirk Cousins, 5-1? We see the Dolphins after that 3-3 start lose 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Tua back this week. They go with Skylar Thompson. He gets hurt. They bring in Teddy Bridgewater. He tries to rally them. Tyreek Hill had a great game, 12 for 177. Jalen Waddle, 6 for 129. Mike Gesicki caught 2 touchdowns.
Kiss of death, Tony.
Just not enough. It was just not enough. Kirk Cousins, only 175 yards passing, 2 scores, 77 yards on the ground for Cook. And Justin Jefferson had 107 yards through the air as well. So the Vikings, I mean, Kevin O'Connell, I think Zimmer and that staff was getting, the message was getting stale. So that's obviously been a home run hire. We saw the Bengals win 30-26 over the Saints. So they avoid a 2-4 start, getting their 3rd victory of the season. Joe Cool, 300 yards, 3 scores, only sacked 3 times. Found Jamar Chase for 2 touchdowns, 132 yards receiving. The Saints, sans Jameis Winston, they go with Andy Dalton. They run the ball well, 228 yards passing, rushing, 1 score. But just not enough. 2-4, 1-3 at home. Obviously down their top 3 wide receivers, so that's always going to put you in a bind. But it's a competitive league, and right now the Saints just aren't competitive. We'll see if they can turn it around. You saw, how about really the upset of the day? We know Renee was cheesing. 20-18, Pittsburgh over Tampa. Tommy missing another 2-point conversion late. Tony, give me something, because you're a big Brady guy. What?
I'm not a big Brady guy.
What is it?
Well, you know what, dude? There was a lot of murmuring about Tom Brady this weekend. I'm sure you saw the video. I'm sure you watched the game of him kind of screaming at his offensive line. And honestly, dude, obviously you couldn't hear anything, right? So it's like kind of ridiculous, I think, for people to speculate, kind of what he was saying. And I'm hearing like Max Kellerman talking about, some offensive linemen that if you yell at them, they're going to put you in a chokehold, which is, first of all, horrible reaction. Okay. Obviously, you're talking to Tom Brady. He's, currently the greatest quarterback in the league, like one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play the game. Obviously, you should be listening to him. And, if you look back at the tape, if you kind of try and decipher, what he's saying, because the microphone picks up a little bit. Obviously, they didn't have it, the other guy wasn't riding the microphone over there because I'm sure he was cursing a lot. But I'm pretty sure the words "you're better than this" came out of his mouth. Okay. So I think people are kind of really like throwing this a little bit out of proportion here, saying that, oh, Tom Brady's breaking. And then what do? They got the divorce. He's 45. His parents are getting older. Oh, the kids. Oh, no. Like the list of shit comes down. You don't know what he's experiencing. And it's like, dude, just relax. Okay. Tom Brady's a professional quarterback. Obviously, he's one of the probably most competitive people on the planet right now. So obviously, if his offensive line aren't doing something right, he's going to yell at them, as any player would, to hold your teammates accountable, to make them better. Brian was just talking about it in the golf game here. Tom Brady's using it here in football. And everyone's like, oh, he's at the Kraft's wedding. And then he had the off day on Wednesdays, and he was off on Saturday. He missed whatever, dude.
Did you see his face at the Kraft's wedding?
Why, he look kind of fucked up? Sure, he should look fucked up. All right. He is going through a divorce right now, possibly, allegedly.
I thought you said it was going to be fine.
They seem to be at least separated at this point, right? I think it'll be fine. It's Giselle, it's Tom, whatever, dude. I think it'll be all copacetic.
No excuse, though, to lose to the Steelers.
There is no excuse.
Almost lose to the Falcons last
week. But
obviously,
Tampa Bay isn't really, chalking up to what it's supposed to be all around. It's not one person's fault here. It's the team. The team is not good right now. Okay, the team has to do better. And I think that's what Tom Brady was saying to his offensive line. Everyone, it's why he's angry. It's because it's like not only does he expect better from them, but he knows they can do better. Okay, it seems like although he was yelling and he had the look in his eyes, it seemed like an uplifting message regardless. Okay, I think people are blowing this, like I said, out of proportion.
3-3. It's mediocrity at its finest. And I think, some of Brady's teammates as well, they might be, tired of the dog and pony show when it comes to Brady. It's all about Brady. And I think they want some of their credit too. And I think part of this too, I mentioned it, in our season previews about, having Ali Marpet retire, losing their center. I think sometimes we underestimate the value of an offensive line. I think that's a big part of it. And my dad happens to think, and I don't know, just because of the fact is we've seen Brady have so much success over the years, but maybe he is declining. He seems to think that some of the blame needs to fall on Todd Bowles. And obviously,
really?
I'm
makes sense.
A little traumatized by Bowles myself. When you think of Todd Bowles, you don't think of winning. You think about collapsing in Buffalo. So that could be part of it. Who knows? So it'll be very interesting to see. We're 6 games into the season, so 11 left. Out of those 11 games, how many do the Bucs win? And I'm just curious, your thoughts, Tony. Had to give me a number there. Out of 11, 3-3 now.
I think best case scenario 7-4.
7-4, so you'd be 10-7.
Yeah,
maybe wild card number 3.
Mm-hmm.
What about the
They never
Rams
got into their
bounce
schedule.
back game. I mean, albeit, against
Against the
a fired
Panthers, right?
coaching staff.
Yeah.
PJ Walker injured, Jacob Eason in, Robbie Anderson
Thrown out.
ejected off the field. And Steve Wilkes, man. I think Steve Wilkes, might be the Bob Costas of coaching. I understand whatever. Robbie's barking. I mean, the team has one victory this year. Their coach just got fired before. You're the interim coach, and you're trying to make a name for yourself after you completely bombed out in Arizona, had 2 wins, fired after 1 year. Your first game as coach, you tell a guy, you basically make him Antonio Brown and have him escorted off the field. I don't know about that one. And if the Jets weren't so talented at wide receiver right now, I think we would welcome Robbie Anderson back with open arms, but there's no room for him. But I think if the New York Giants were smart, they would definitely bring him in, because I'm sure Robbie would love to get back to New York and make a name for himself. But there's murmurs about the Panthers possibly trading Christian McCaffrey, as well as linebacker Brian Burns. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I mean, I would definitely trade McCaffrey if you can. Speaking of situations, I mean, the Rams, Cam Akers, we talked about this on Friday. I guess they're saying physiological differences with McVay, this, that. So he's inactive for this game. I'm sure he'll be traded. So I don't think the Rams played a flawless game. But nevertheless, a must-needed win. They're 3-3. You can kind of reset from there. Allen Robinson with his first touchdown as a Ram. That was big. So I think, they're going to take advantage of kind of getting a reset here after 6 games. And, we'll see what happens from that point on. We saw the Seahawks 19-9 over the Cardinals. So the free fall for the Arizona Cardinals continues as they fall to 2-4 on the season. And this wasn't a pretty win by any means, but nevertheless, for Seattle to be 3-3, everybody had wrote them off. Once again, Geno doesn't turn it over. Gets the ball to his receivers, kind of more evenly distributed with some no-name guys. I mean, Noah Fant led the team with receptions with 6. And they keep Kyler Murray in check despite him rushing for 100 yards. He doesn't throw a touchdown pass, turns it over, sacked 6 times. You see that injury late to Hollywood Brown. So the Cardinals, 2-4, really might be in trouble. You've been all over it, Tony. So props to you there. Kingsbury possibly getting down to his final days in Arizona. And the game of the day, as far as everyone else was concerned, outside of New York, between the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, scoring light early, picked up late. But at the end of the day, a Patrick Mahomes interception seals the deal for the Bills as they move to 5-1 on the season. Josh Allen, another, outstanding performance, 329, 3 scores. Only sacked once, found Diggs 10 times for 148 yards and a score. Gabe Davis with another touchdown. Dawson Knox with a score. The defense, was all in Mahomes' face, sacking him 3 times, picking him off twice. And only letting this Chiefs team get 68 yards on the ground versus 125 for the Bills. So a big win. Trying to make a statement. And I know they blew out Kansas City in the regular season last year. Before falling in the playoffs, the overtime rule, which they now changed. And then obviously, too, you figure this gives them a 2-game advantage over Kansas City if they're trying to get home field, because even if they're tied, now they'll have the tiebreaker. But that being said, Tony, we've seen the Chiefs look pretty good up until this game and really up until late into this game. How much do you make of this for the Bills? Do you think this is a big deal, or it's like, let's take it easy. Let's see what happens in the postseason? Because obviously you think about losing 4 straight Super Bowls and not winning many playoff games of recent. Is this a big deal in your eyes?
I think it is a big deal in my eyes. Think about it. Obviously, Chiefs, Bills, there's a lot of juice coming into this game here. Obviously, the Chiefs being, I would say one of the top teams in terms of being competitive against the Bills, vice versa, right? So this is a great matchup here. And Allen, that last drive he had, I think that shows really what his true colors are. He's running the ball hard. He's using his body. He's risking his body. He's slinging the ball across the field. I mean, he's the type of quarterback I would gladly get behind, or really ahead of and try and block for. I mean, he's that type of guy who can really rally a team. He's incredibly skilled, and when you look at how how the game ended, think about it. Like Mahomes with that interception at the last part of the game here. That was just a bad decision,
Forced it.
He really forced it. He obviously was not looking. I mean, kudos to whoever that defensive back was, who intercepted. He jumped on the route a little bit, but I mean, Mahomes, he knew it was on the line, and he forced that throw because he was worried, and he had some defensive linemen in his face and everything, and I think the Bills did a good job in pressuring Mahomes for most of the game here, and I think the game started out, it was, I mean, I don't think no one scored in the first quarter, right?
No.
Like that, or yeah,
No.
It was very low scoring. I think it took a while for people to kind of, get their feet here in this game, and for the Bills to come out on top, and again, for Allen to march on that field, do what he needs to do, and then their defense to perform as well and force that interception. I mean, that shows, just how multifaceted the Bills team is. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I know, Super Bowl, back-to-back losses, whatever. It's a different team, dude. Different era, different people. And if there's a team that certainly deserves it, it would be the Bills.
Yeah. So that'll be an interesting storyline to watch. Can Josh Allen get the Bills to their first Super Bowl since those 4 consecutive losses? What a story that would be. We saw Cooper Rush finally lose his first start as a starting quarterback last night as the Eagles 26-17 over Dallas to go to 6-0, remain the lone undefeated team in the league, and have that 1-game lead over the New York Giants for first place in the NFC East. And this is a game where it seemed like this might be a blowout early. I mean, 20-0, 20-3 at the half. But Dallas, in the second half, outscores them 14-6. They try to kick a field goal, recover an onside kick late, missed the field goal, so that ended the game here. But I think the story here was, Cooper Rush had a somewhat soft schedule as a starter. He finally faces a tenacious D in the Philadelphia Eagles, and he throws 3 interceptions. So clearly, I think that ends the controversy with Dak. He said he could have played tonight or last night, but he'll play next week against the Lions. Dallas, I mean, they sacked Hurts 4 times, didn't turn him over though. They ran the ball well, 134 yards. Zeke looked good, 81 yards on the ground, 6.2 yards a carry, had a rushing touchdown. They got the ball to CeeDee Lamb, but I just think Dak will take this team to the next level. And they can't complain. They had 5 games. They won 4 of them with Dak out. So now it's time to give him the keys once again. And I think Dallas will be just fine. And the Eagles, I mean, we saw them almost blow it to Jacksonville a couple weeks ago. They've had some games where they've kind of almost fallen apart. And this one will qualify 20-0 to 20-17 to 26-17. But Jalen, I mean, did what he needed to do. 155 yards through the air, two passing touchdowns. Miles Sanders, 71 yards rushing and a score. They ran for 136 yards as a team. And I mentioned the 3 interceptions. Didn't get any sacks, but 6-0 is 6-0. Now, obviously, the Dallas will look a lot different with Dak at quarterback. Going forward, in your eyes, as the Eagles look forward to a matchup of Pennsylvania against the Steelers next week, who do you think is more dangerous here in terms of moving forward for the rest of the season, Philadelphia or Dallas?
Oh, Philly, easily.
But there's nothing to be said. Dallas lost once opening night. This was their first loss since then. They've been playing with a backup quarterback.
Right.
The defense is
Their
good.
defense is good, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't set up second half, I'm sure, but Philly, I mean, they still won, and I still think it's going to take some time for Dak to maybe come back to starting quarterback. The thumb, short wrapped up on the sideline. I know he's ready to go, but is he really 100%? We don't know. Look at Aaron Rodgers, he had the thumb issue, couldn't throw the ball, terrible game. I don't know, dude. I think it'll take some time for Dak to kind of readjust back to be starting quarterback. So I think it may take the Cowboys a couple losses maybe when he comes back to be like, all right, now he's back to 100%. We'll see. And I think in the meantime, I mean, Eagles, I don't think they're going to lose really. So
Wow. Well, people are talking undefeated season, but I think take it easy. You always pencil in wins, pencil in losses. You really don't know what happens.
Full of shit.
Till the games are played. And speaking of games being played, one last game for week 6 here tonight, Monday Night Football, 8:15 from Los Angeles, from SoFi Stadium. We have Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos in town against the Los Angeles Chargers here. Obviously Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, all of that.
Mhm.
So a lot of talent on the field. Denver disappointing so far at 3-3. What do you think here? Line sitting at 4.5 for the Chargers.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Chargers in a landslide. I'm thinking like 28-10, maybe.
Wow.
Easily.
Russ bench towards the end or no?
No, they keep him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his line?
Oh, maybe he throws for 150 yards, maybe.
Wow.
Running game, decent, maybe, 65, 70 yards, but, ultimately maybe one running touchdown, no throwing touchdowns, one interception, no bueno.
Wow. All right. So Chargers minus 4.5 for you. Just for the sake of going head to head here, Tony, I'll
Look at
take
you.
the plus 4.5, but the Broncos look like shit. So I think this is a big spot for them.
Mhm.
We'll see if they can get anything going. But I mean, the Chargers, I think at this point in the season, I know there's not a big difference in the win-loss differential, but I think the Chargers look like the far better team. But who knows? Maybe Russ still has a little magic left. We will see.
Yeah.
So that's Monday Night Football on ESPN. Just wanted to give a special shout out to Keegan Bradley winning the Zozo Championship last night. So that was not last night, but in Japan over the weekend. So that was a big win for him. He hasn't won in quite some time. But other than that, Tony, anything else you wanted to add here?
On this beautiful, overcasted, rainy Monday, I don't think so. Buffer does, though. Good show, fellas. Let's go.
Buffer is bipolar today. I'm just saying. Buffer Bob Costas had a better 24-hour stretch than you after this last 20 minutes. I'm sorry. You say one thing and then you deviate away. That's not on me. That's on you. So let's just not get it twisted, Tony. But once again, really would like to thank everybody for tuning in and continuing to comment, like, and subscribe, as well as checking out the archives.
What a
on
show,
the YouTube
what a life.
page, as well as checking out the merch, downtimetv.com. Everybody enjoy the day, enjoy the games. Let's go Yankees, and we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.